The big issue in a lot of this has to do with police and race relations and what goes on in the streets of cities right across this country of ours. Toronto, just one example. Joining us for more in Toronto is Desmond. He is a columnist. Good to have you on, Desmond, as always.
Hi, Todd. Thank you.
You know, for folks watching us across the country here, what is at stake? What's happening in Toronto is a microcosm, though, of a much larger conversation happening nationwide.
Well, I think what's at stake, Todd, is that the Special Investigations Unit, the SIU, oversees investigations into police misconduct all across the province. And their record as an investigative body is that 97% of the time, they don't even bring charges against police who are accused of hurting or killing or sexually assaulting members of the public. And so I just ask your viewers to consider what they think would happen if 97% of the time when a civilian was accused of hurting or sexually assaulting or killing someone, that they didn't even go to trial. Because that's what is happening with our police. And that record of clearing officers of even having to go to trial has really reduced trust in our police forces.
It raises certainly a lot of questions that need to be answered here. What's the message that the African American community, the Black community in Canada, might be taking away from that fact?
Well, because Black people are so disproportionately targeted by police violence, whether that is through harassment, through unnecessary searches, through insidious practices like carding, or even through being killed, and so many of the Black people or so many of the people who have been killed by police in recent years have been Black. What we fear is that not only are we being targeted, but that our investigative bodies like the SIU don't really care to give us any justice. And so I think what's at stake for our community is that we can't trust the police if this is the outcome that they keep facing, not only for their behavior, but when they are investigated for that behavior. We can't continue to see these kinds of poor outcomes.
We've seen the protests, we've seen the confrontations. In one case, Desmond, you know this very well, this week, activists with the Black Lives Matter movement confronted the Premier, Kathleen Wynne, outside of the provincial legislature, Queen's Park, to try and have a one-on-one conversation with her. Is there movement politically on this, or is this sort of PR spin and lip service?
Actually, I'm glad you're asking, because I'd like to take this opportunity to say that in 2 weeks of protesting every day outside of Toronto Police Headquarters, the Black Lives Matter movement have managed to secure a Toronto City Council motion asking the Premier to review the SIU, and they've secured the Premier coming out and speaking to them and saying that she personally wanted to meet with them. And I can't think of a movement in recent memory that has agitated so publicly and in such a grassroots way and gotten reaction so quickly. This is not about public relations. The fact that our legislative bodies in Toronto and now the Premier are responding says that this is a group with serious concerns and legitimate concerns that have to be addressed.
Reaction is one thing, very important, of course, to trigger a conversation, but then action beyond that is even more important. What do you think we might see realistically, Desmond?
So I think that realistically, you know, you had a clip there just recently of Mike McCormick saying that he didn't appreciate, he's the head of the police association, not the police force. Big distinction, police association. He says that the police are unfairly being targeted. People like him, unfortunately, have very loud voices, and so I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on the province to actually change things. But I have to tell you, for example, Andrew Loku, a father of 5, killed in his apartment by police. The police officer who killed him is back on duty doing their job, and we don't even know that officer's name. No member of the general public can kill someone and remain anonymous. And until the SIU takes simple steps, like at least naming police officers who are responsible for harming or killing people, there's going to be a lot of unrest. I'm not saying that that is going to come easily as a change, but it's a very basic thing that people are asking for, and until those basic things are met, we're going to be in this very tense and contentious situation.
Great to have you on the program, Desmond, and share your viewpoints on this with us as always.
Thanks, Todd.
Desmond Cole joining us from Toronto. He's a columnist with the Toronto Star.